Okay, so right now what, by the way, are you able to see the screen as well? All right, thank you. Second. Yeah, so, okay, so on the screen right now, you would be able to see the teaching team. So I am Sandeep, and together with me is Mr. Camille Edward, and also your course coordinator, Dr. Kabir. Right. And
Guys, Samo campus, Baba will be your local tutor there. And Andrew will be from the Vanuatu campus. We'll join him very soon, most probably from next week. Andrew will join from Vanuatu campus. We'll give the details of Andrew so that you can contact.
okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, class, once again. Right, sir, thank you. Okay, and starting off, we'll start with the teaching team first. So this session is unique in the sense that we are running it in parallel with remote students as well, right? So you guys are face to face. Make sure you please do not try, any one of you to perhaps from next week you would want to not be present here but try to switch online. Okay, it doesn't work for you. Okay, it only works for the remote students, the students who have signed online. You guys need to be present as you are today for the entire semester, okay, until the labs go on. Okay, starting off, my name is Sandeep, okay, and together with Kamil and your course coordinator, Dr. Kabir, will be part of the teaching team. And yes, that's my email. So the best way to reach me is via email. So if you have any queries, okay, so regarding your CAD labs, okay, you can get in touch with me. And that's the number for the office. So 003, it's towards the, how should I say, as soon as you enter the main gate, the first left hand, okay, and pretty much most of the engineering offices are located there. So you can find our, on the door, you'll find that office number or room location, and you can come and see me at any time, okay? And also your other teaching staff as well. Now, first things first, as Mr. Kamil would have advised you, that please check on your PCs that you are able to open AutoCAD software, right? So it's simple. You'll find the icon here. Okay, let me just familiarize you with the buttons on the mouse. Okay, I'm pretty much sure you all know this, but when I'll just say do a click, I will always be referring to a left click. Okay, when I say do a click or do a double click, it means the left click. Okay, which pretty much rests on your, if I'm right-handed, so it will be my pointer finger. So the middle finger will rest on the, what you call the scroll wheel, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, you can also press the scroll wheel as well, okay, on this latest mouse. And the right, I mean, that's the ring finger. So the ring finger is on the right click button, okay? So the reason I'm telling you this is because we'll use these terms a lot, okay? Left click, double click. So I will not explicitly say a left click, okay? Right, so please make a note of that. So in order to open AutoCAD, all you need to do is do a double click on that icon there. It says AutoCAD 2023. So that's the latest version you have. Okay. So it will take a wee bit of time, but it does open up, right, within a minute or so. There you go. That's the opening screen you'll see. Okay, in my case, it's showing up a message that because I've been using this yesterday as well. Right, so I would just ignore this. Okay, it's asking to do some file recovery, which we were using yesterday for the other two classes, right? So need not worry about that. As long as you are able to open up AutoCAD on the PCs in front of you, without any error messages. Okay, so that would be great. Okay, now you might be thinking, if you have a personal laptop, okay, or computer, you would want to download or install AutoCAD. Okay, so there you have two options. Your first option is that you can pretty much go to the Autodesk website and download it. Right, so obviously download it, it needs data, right? Okay, so if you're okay with data, you can download it, and initially you'll get a month or 30-day license. Okay, and I think we have an agreement with the creators of AutoCAD that they would extend the license provided that you are able to supply them or maybe give a photograph of your ID card, student ID card, together with your offer letter. Okay, so that's option number one. Now, option number two is we have our technician. His detail is at the bottom here, technician. Okay, his name is Mr. Ashnil, so he might be joining. I'm not really sure. He would be joining us today. So that's his email address, and his office is located in the engineering workshop. So he has decided. So he has the downloaded copy. So in case you are not able to download because of data issues, so you can go to him or arrange a meeting with him. So provide him with your laptops, and he will do the installation for you. Okay, subject to the specs of your laptop. Okay, and if you have enough space to cater for the software, so it's pretty much a big size AutoCAD, right? The software itself. Okay, so those are your two options, right? So before the end of the class, I will show you the lab booking times. So I'm pretty sure most of you are taking PH labs as well. So in PH labs, it's pretty much hardware based. This is a software based lab. So what you do, I think in the PH lab, you do the experiment itself there, right? The exercise, which you submit as a group or something. Okay, over here, we take up these lab times, or these 3 hours, to teach you new skills, okay? We will not be able to give you the time to complete your exercises, okay? Got that? So in that way, we'll need your full attention for the 3 hours or 2 hours. Sometimes it's less, okay? It's never more than 3 hours, okay? Right, so there are exercises in addition to the notes. So we will go over the notes in detail because this is your introduction to a new software. So at all times, try to pay attention to these screens, okay? And try to follow through as we are, okay? So if you come across any doubts or issues or questions, straight away you can ask us, okay? So we'll come and help you around with that, okay? Right, so this is the first week, okay? Maybe this week and next week we'll take it slow. Right. So once you start or once you get accustomed to using this software, it will be a piece of cake later on. Okay. Got it?
Some student might be thinking if you are using your AutoCAD to your personal computer, which version? Okay. Make sure we are using 2023. So this is the latest one. Okay. So if you use any 2022 or 2020, that is also okay. We can open it. But you have done something here 2023, and then you want to reopen it to your computer, which is lower version, you'll not be able to open it. Make sure you match the version. Remember, higher version created file will never be open at the lower version software. Okay, lower version created file can be open to the higher version. So you make your own judgment. Okay, installation wise, some YouTube videos are there, some instructions are there, but depending on the version, it might be slightly tweaking. I'm sure you'll be able to manage. If not, then you can meet Mr. Ashnil or shoot him an email. He'll be able to assist you. However, installing AutoCAD to your PC is not mandatory. In this particular room, so maybe one or two will be little bit, week 1 or 2 will be little bit tricky for you because you are just learning. At some point, you will see that you will be able to complete your task within this period of time. Okay? And that will be your targets. Unless otherwise there's little bit left here and there, which you will have 1 week time to submit. So today's lab session, next week, the same day, by that time, if you are able to finish and adding few more days, so basically you will get 7 to 10 days. Every lab 1 to submission box will give a date of submission. Ignore the date on the task, submission box, submission deadline should be followed. You have to upload your CAD file to that folder. .dwg file at some point, I think you will cover it.
Thank you, sir. Right. So far so good. You have any questions? Okay, this is an interactive center. Okay. In the sense, lectures are different. Lectures is just one way communication. Here, there's three of us. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. Right. The more questions you ask, the better it will help us to assist you. Okay, and together with your colleagues as well. Right. Okay. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. And our point of view is that there is never a wrong question you can ask. Okay. Right. So we are all here to learn. Okay, so that's Mr. Ashnil Deo. So he has joined us. Any queries regarding AutoCAD installation? Like you do so in the computer, you can get in touch with him, right? And whilst you are working on in front of the PCs, yeah, if you're having any login issues or AutoCAD is not installed, just raise your hands and he would come and attend to it. Okay. So make sure I'll just give you a few minutes again, maybe 1 or 2 minutes to log in. I've seen others joining in right now. Okay. Just quickly log in and see that you are able to open AutoCAD. So that we can all move together at the same time. Right. And as for remote students, Mr. Kamil Edward is also online. So any queries you have, you can type in the chat box. He will be able to assist you with that. Okay. Are you guys able to hear me? No.
Tuloy lang mo ako ikot.
Okay, just once again, are you able to hear me? Through the microphone, we can, but yes, thank you, Thompson. So others, please. Yes, can you all put your microphones on mute? So the only microphone which should be not muted is mine, okay? Thank you, guys. Okay, so yeah, for the face-to-face students, still if you're having login issues or AutoCAD does not work on your PCs, okay, let Mr. Ashnil know, right? So he can help you with that, right? So not to worry, I'll just come to this actual software in a wee bit time, right? Okay, so to start off, so now you see technology has evolved so much that perhaps you can now recall when you were in primary school or maybe just when your memory started off, then you can recall that you were given a scrap paper to draw, right? And pretty much you would have been drawing circles, or okay, or just lines, okay? So if you give a kid a pencil and a paper or a chalk and a blackboard, he or she would be pretty much doing that, okay? Just drawing circles and lines, okay? Starting off drawing and sketching. Now, as you go older, you get more sophisticated, right? You start to sketch freehand, and then as you move towards high school, so some of you, okay, must have gone or must have taken the subject of technical drawing, okay, where you started to draw proper drawings using your instruments, okay, using mathematical instruments as well, okay, the set squares, the compass to draw circles, okay, that was again done manually, right? So there were variations, okay, depending on your skill set, how skilled you are at drawing. Okay, none of the drawings would be identical, right? So now it has evolved that you are using CAD softwares. Would anyone be able to share with us what you understand by CAD? CAD is an acronym, right? Now, this AutoCAD is one such software. There are many others. Okay, there is something known as Google SketchUp. Some of you might have used that as well. So what does CAD means? CAD. Yes? Yes, computer-aided drawing or computer-aided design. Okay, so you're using aid of a machine, right, to help in designing. So at this phase, everything is at the design level, right? So whatever drawings you are making, it's all regarded as the design phase. Okay, so AutoCAD is one such software developed. So you'll come across a few others, I would suppose, during your bachelor's degree program. Another one is SolidWorks, right? Okay. So pretty much what happens, there are many advantages to using AutoCAD softwares, such that there is uniformity. The drawings you make or your colleagues make or everyone in this room makes is identical. Okay, if you use the same parameters. Okay, number two, you are saving time and cost and resources. Okay, you are saving on paper and drawing or writing instruments. Okay, right. So a lot of resources is saved and time is saved as well. Okay. So something which would have taken you 4 or 5 hours to do can now take you 30 minutes. Okay. So and this is a really, really interesting software. We will start off with the basics. So just like a kid learns to draw or write by just drawing lines and circles, that is what we will start off as well, right? By drawing lines and circles. Okay. Now thank you, Thompson. I'll try to keep that in mind. Okay, so most of you guys, if you have opened up AutoCAD, you would see this screen. Okay, that's your introduction screen. So if you are seeing something else, just let us know, right? So what we like to do is start on a blank page, okay, or a new file, just like if you open Microsoft Word or a Word document. You start off with a blank document, isn't it? Right. So these are your templates. Okay, this is your introduction screen. So what you do is just click on New. Okay, meaning you're opening up a new file. Okay, so there are some changes you'll come across. Just push this down. All right, so that is what you should be seeing in front of you on your screens. Okay, so now the tools we'll be using is just the keyboard and the mouse, okay, to pretty much manipulate all the details. So there are two parts we will cover today. Now I'll just quickly go over all the items which are available on Moodle. Okay, right. So
Yes. We're focusing on the course, so we begin by brings the course. Please remember that when you want to focus on the pulse of something in your sentence, begin the sentence.
all right, so now if you go to the Moodle page and under the left section, you would find a page which gives you details about today's lab, okay, how to approach the thing. So pretty sure you must have read that. And then there are a couple of folders. The first folder here, AutoCAD Lab Manual. If you open this, now these, just like in other science courses, you have a lab handout, lab manual with guides how to go about getting out the experiment. Right. So the same thing is same files are here. So we'll first start off with the intro lab, and our coverage will end today with lab number 1. So if you are able to successfully go over lab number 1, it should help you to finish or successfully complete exercise number 1, okay, which will be part of your submission. Okay, so 2 files we will be using, so the lab intro as well as lab 1. Okay. For your reference, you could leave this open, okay, whilst we are going over the lab itself. Right. So if you move out of that page, then the next item under labs is CAD lab number 1. So this folder here, CAD lab number 1, contains two files, two PDF files, two PDF documents, and in that you will find instructions. So these are the exercises which you will attempt individually. Okay, I would like to emphasize that the submission is supposed to be individual. There is no group submission here. The only group work you will come across is in your tutorials, right? Which you would have started this week. All labs are supposed to be attempted and submitted individually. Do not think that it's a computer software. I'll just borrow my friend's work and then submit it as my own. You will make the work of the marker really, really easy in the sense that he will be just giving you a 0. It's very easy for us to catch. We have copied somebody else's work, okay? Right, so please keep that in mind. So whatever work you have done, so the exercise that's there and the submission format, there are two files, right? You don't need to use that today, these two files, right? But after today's class, then you will be aware how to go about completing the exercises. All right.
Well. Lagi. Ay, yes, sir.
Or even they use the footnote that should be one, and they should not share that is create take that from the pleasure.
Can they have multiple windows?
Right. So thank you, sir. So another point is that okay, so I have logged in. So whatever work I do will be registered as my work, right? So whatever files I create, whatever documents I create, on this PC will be registered as mine. Okay. Now, if I create a drawing here and I save it, then while logged in, I ask Ashnil or Kamil to make some drawings and save the files. So it will be saved under my name. Okay. Whatever, even though the work they have done, but since I have logged in, right, so it's going to be always wise to log out if somebody else is going to use the PC. Okay, do not let him or her, especially for AutoCAD labs, okay, or any other submission for that matter, online submission. So your login credentials, you do the work, log out. If the same PC has to be used, then let that person log in, okay, and then do their work. Okay, so in that way, you would not be unjustifiably marked out of 0. Okay, so because then you'll need to justify that this was going on. He was using my login account, okay, to do the work. All right. Okay, so it's better to avoid those issues. Okay, so I'll close this. All right, so now, so this is your introductory lab. Okay, now if you would like to know more about where I'm getting the information from, or what am I using what guide am I using, or what lab manual am I using? So whatever I will be talking about is from the intro lab, okay? Which talks about the introduction. All right, so I'll be just going over all the details at first, okay, of the parts of the different components of the screen here. Okay, so the first things first, right at the top, that is referred to as the menu bar. Okay, so sometimes you'll see here, if you don't need to actually click, just move the mouse over it. Okay, and it will give you that information. Right, so the first icon here is for new. So if you want to create a new file, so you click on that, followed by opening a new file. So if you have some safe work, if you want to open a file, okay, so you'll click on that and then you start to look for your document as long as it's an AutoCAD file, and then you will open it. Okay, followed by saving and save as, similar to Microsoft Word, right? A Word document. Those icons are similar. And the next important one is this icon here, which says plot. So we'll be using that today, right? And every time you are creating a document, okay, or creating a file, so we'll be using that. So just beside that, somewhere along the way or the same line, you will see right at the top, drop down arrow. Okay, so click on that. Now this will make our work really, really easy. Right, so click on that and scroll. I mean, just move down. Do not click anything yet. So if you see a tick beside word, if it's ticked, it means it's showing. If it's unticked or if it's unchecked, it's not showing. Okay, right. So right now, you'll click this, show the menu bar, right? So show the menu bar, right? So now you can see this file, edit, right? So that's the menu bar you are able to see. Okay, so by default, it's not displayed. So if you have the menu bar, it makes your work really, really easy when you're quickly trying to get access to tools and make some annotations or put some dimensions and all those sort of things. Okay, so below now you have the menu bar displayed. Below the menu bar, it is something which is called the dashboard. Okay, so that is the dashboard here. So within the dashboard itself, you have many subsections. So you have the drawing area. So these are shortcuts. Okay, so if you'd like to draw a line, okay, so maybe let's just start. Instead of just watching me do things, you can click on this. Okay, if you just even move the mouse over it, it will show you that it creates a line segment. Okay, so it gives information, right? So it's really versatile. So it helps you. So if you want to create a line, so you use that. So that's the dashboard, modify, annotate. So there are many others. Now, as we come across the scenario, if you need to use them, then I will explain in detail what each particular icon or what each particular part of that AutoCAD software does. Right. So obviously, again, going back to the example of trying to sketch out something. So you had that scrap paper, right? So you would pretty much, as a child, you would pretty much want that scrap paper to be infinite, right? You can pretty much draw everywhere, right? So that paper shouldn't end. So what you see here in black in front of you is what you call the model screen, okay, or the model. It's not a page, so it doesn't have, it's infinite pretty much, right? So you can use the scroll function to scroll in and out, so it doesn't end. There is no limitation. So that's your drawing area. So all your drawings, even so, in theory there's a term, construction work, isn't it? Or construction drawings. So any drawings you do, just leave it there. There's no need to be very, very neat in that model space. We call it the model space or the model screen. Okay. Okay, so that's that black area, and there is grid line. So that grid line is to be used as a reference. Okay, it does not really have any particular units, but it's just to be used as a reference. Okay, right. And this here, so as your mouse pointer, you would say, as you move towards the dashboard, it becomes an arrow. As you move in that black region, it's a crosshair, right? So if you're into games and all that, you know that icon, isn't it? It's a crosshair icon, right? So it's called a crosshair. Okay, so, and this is there is this floating icon over here, right? So you have the option, you can dock it up there. Okay, you can move it or you can dock it below. Right. Now, AutoCAD is only as smart as you want it to be. Okay, so if you want to draw a line, AutoCAD knows if you give a command. So normally you can click a button or you can give it a command that you want to draw a line. So you don't have to speak in a sentence. If you want to draw a line, just type line. Okay, so most of the time, get into the habit of using that command window. So if you type line there, now and then you press enter, so AutoCAD will ask you, where do you want that line to start? Okay, after you tell AutoCAD, okay, I want my line to start at this particular coordinate or at this particular point. Then AutoCAD will ask you, how long do you want the line to be? What's the angle of the line? So if ever you are making any drawings and you get lost in the sense that what am I supposed to do next? Something isn't working, right? I have executed a command, but there is no feedback. So you quickly or you every time see that command area, right? So for example, here, I'm trying to draw a line. You see what happens? It asks me. It doesn't draw a line automatically. Okay. Even though it's a PC, it's a machine. It's supposed to be smart, but it will ask you, specify the first point. Okay, so it's a drawing area. So let's just click anywhere. When I say click, you don't keep it pressed. Okay, that button, you just click it and let go. So when I say click again, it means a left click, right? So specify the first point. Okay, so you see what happens now. Again, look at that command area. It is asking you specify the next point. Okay, so you have options. Either you specify a point manually or you enter a value. If you enter a value, then AutoCAD knows, okay, the user is specifying a distance. So let's type in 100. 100. You see what happens? It typed in 100. And by the way, at this stage, there is no units. It's not 100 kilometers. It's not 100 millimeters. It's not 100 centimeters. It's not 100 meters. It's just 100 units. Okay, so later on, today we'll be setting a scale. Okay, we'll be setting units. Then it becomes applicable. So it's just 100. So after that, you press the enter key on the keyboard. Now you see what happens? It gives a brief history of what commands you have executed. Command, you entered line and you specify the first point. As part of the second point, some of you might have clicked the second point, drew a line. Okay, or in my case, I typed 100, meaning I want to draw a line which has a length of 100 units. Okay, so that's how the line command works. Very simple, isn't it? Now, what you'll notice is that there is a line, but I am now able to draw another line. Okay, so that means my line command is still active, isn't it? So if you want to move out or come out of the line command, what you do is, if you want to, if ever you want to cancel a command, what you do is press on the escape key. Okay, the escape key is the, which one is it? The top left key on the keyboard, right? If you escape or if you coming out of that command. So the command, the line command is now cancel, right? So AutoCAD is smart enough to, if you execute a command, it will keep it active. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's try to draw a circle. Okay, we have drawn a line now. Let's try to draw a circle. Let's see if it works. So your choice, whether you want to use the dashboard. Okay, now there are three ways to draw a circle, whichever one you find it easier. Now, as you go along the semester, you'll develop a preference that either you would like to use a command or whichever shortcut. So the first way to draw a circle is if you look for draw on your menu bar, you look for draw, click on it, and then you see circle, right? And then you draw a circle. That's number one. The second way to draw a circle is there using the dashboard. Okay, you click on it, starts to draw a circle. The third way to draw a circle is use the command area, okay, or the command box. So I'll just shift the command box up here. So you just can type the word circle itself. Or if you start pressing C, it will start to give you option C. So the first option which comes up is circle. So you click on circle. It again asks you for information. Specify the center point for a circle. Okay. Now you see there is, it says specify the center point for circle O. O. After that, there is square brackets. So those square brackets are your option. Okay. If you want to draw a circle by first specifying a center, or do you want to, it says 3P. 3P means 3 points, 2P means 2 points, and there are other options as well. Okay. So we want to specify the center point. Okay, let's just anywhere on that page or that on that drawing area, let's put a center point. There we go. You see what happens? Okay, the next question it asks you is specify the radius of the circle. Let's say you are lazy and that particular day, and I know circle and diameter, radius and diameters are very easy to work with. So you are just given the diameter and you don't want to divide by 2 to find the radius. Okay, but it is asking you specify the radius of the circle. But you are given a document which is just giving you the diameter. Okay, so you can pretty much do this. Okay, instead of specifying the radius, it says O. So you click on diameter. Now it changes. It says specify the diameter of the circle. Right. So let's say whatever diameter you desire, right? So let's say 50. So specify the diameter of the circle. So diameter is 50. Now obviously the radius will be 25, but you were lazy enough not to enter 25. Okay. So there you go. Right. Okay. So after you have drawn the circle, the command, the circle command, it ends. Okay. Unlike the line command, which carries on, a circle, command N. If you need to draw another circle, you have to restart again. C circle, enter, okay? Right, I'm drawing a circle using this. Right. Okay, so we've just get started off with lines and circles. So that's how you use your drawing area. Now, sometimes there are issues that your drawing is not displaying. Okay, you're not able to see your drawing. And what you try to do is you try to pan around, you try to zoom in and out until the drawing shows. So on the right hand side, you will see, it's in transparent icons. So you look for the one which shows zoom extends. Okay. So if you click on zoom extends, right now you see you're not able to see my drawing. It's barely visible. So if you click on zoom extends, now there you go. See, it will just bring your drawings into view. Okay. That if you're not able to view your drawing, if it's very small or hidden somewhere, so click on that icon, zoom extend, it will show you your drawing. Okay, does anyone have any questions so far? Or is there anything which you would like us to repeat? No? Okay. If there is no response, it will be our assumptions that you are understanding everything we are telling you, right? Okay, then we'll just go ahead. Okay, so I've gone over the command prompt area. Now it's your choice whether you want to leave it floating or you want to dock it somewhere at the top, at the bottom. Now, after that, this is your UCS. Okay, the X and a Y. The X is horizontal and Y is vertical. Okay, let's just discuss about this. What does UCS mean? I've told you UCS contains the X and Y. X is horizontal, Y is vertical. UCS, it's an acronym. What could it mean? X and Y. Yes. Some of you gave part of the answer. X and Y, what do you call those? Oh, okay, so coordinates, okay, let's see. So what's U and S now? U, coordinate S. UCS, UCS. Try to make something else. Even if it's a wrong answer, it doesn't really matter. Yes. There you go. All of you have internet access, right? Don't worry. UCS. So by now you should know that UCS yes, it is. Yes, it's a user defined or user coordinate system, or some would say a universal coordinate system. There are many interchangeable names for it, right? So it's the UCS. We will use a lot more of the UCS when we come to 3D drawings. So right now, the drawings which you're doing, are they 2-dimensional or are they 3-dimensional? You see a circle in front of in the screen. Is that 2D, 2-dimensional drawing, or is it a 3-dimensional drawing? 2D, exactly. So if you're drawing on a paper, A4 paper, it's a 2D drawing. Okay, right. So later on in the semester, maybe after week 7 or after mid-semester break, then we'll move on to 3D drawings, and that is where we will use UCS a lot. Okay, so you'll see a UCS here. Now that's your reference. What's the origin of the UCS? What's the origin? What's the coordinate of the origin? 0, 0. Yes. So 0, 0 implies that X is 0 and Y is 0. Okay, what I'd like you to do now is, let's just do a simple exercise. Let's make a square. Okay, so I would like you to make a square using coordinate system. Okay, in AutoCAD. So that square has to have a side of 100 units. Okay, so obviously each side will have 100 units. So the length of each side is 100 units. Okay, and the origin or the start point of your coordinate is 0, 0. So let's execute the line command. So let's do L enter, or if you click on line, so it will say specify the first point. So what should be the first point be, or what should be the coordinate of the first point if we're starting from the origin? 0, 0, right? Yes. So let's do this line. specify the first point. Now what I'm going to show you is we can use coordinates to draw lines and shapes. Okay, so let's start with that. So let's start with the origin, 0, 0. You see, y 0. Okay, now that's the first point. Now for the second point, I will not tell you. For the second point, we will move in a clockwise direction. Okay, so the first point is 0, 0. We want the square to have the length of 100, right? So what should be our second point if we are moving in a clockwise direction? Coordinate of the next point. So x would be 0, okay, and y would be 100. So you now enter that. So it's saying specify the next point. Now you see when you have specified 0, 0, something is happening. You are able to move the crosshair. So it is looking, the AutoCAD is now hungry for the next point. So give it the next point. X is 0, y is 100. So 0, 100. Right, if it's not working for anyone, please let us know. So I will enter 0, 100. So now I have my second point. You see? Yeah, I'll just wait here. Let's all of us let's just first get the first 2 points in. First point is 0, 0, the origin. Second point is 0, 100. Okay, it's not necessary to put it inside the parentheses. Okay. Any questions? Now, since we are moving in a clockwise direction, now the coordinate for the third point, if you're drawing a square with side of 100 units, the coordinates for the third point would be what? 100 and 0 are not really incorrect. We are moving clockwise, okay? So that's clockwise. That's the origin, 0, 0. That's 0, 100. What will be the third point? Yes, exactly. X will be 100, Y will be 100, right? So don't cancel out of the line command. You see, it's still active, right? If you move the mouse, the crosshair moves. So the third coordinate is 100, 100. Then you hit enter. So now you are more than halfway completed. So you see what we are doing here? We are using coordinates to draw on AutoCAD. Online students, are you able to see the board? I mean, are you able to see my screen and hear my voice and do the exercise as we are doing in class? Okay, the next point, point 1, 2, 3, the fourth point. What shall be the coordinate of the fourth point be? Again, I'm going to repeat the question. Drawing a square, each side is 100. X will be 100, Y will be 0. Exactly. X is 100, Y is 0. X is 100, comma, Y is 0. Okay, you pretty much have. Now just join the last point. Okay. You have two options. either you can join it, or you can just once again, it's still saying specify the next point. So you can, what will be the last point? You're going back to the origin, isn't it? So it will be 0, 0. 0, 0. There you go. So you see our square is completed, but the line command is still active. How do I cancel it? Just press it by pressing the escape key. Okay. You guys are getting the hang of this. Right. So we just drew a square side 100 using coordinates. Okay, can I have your attention, please? All of you guys, right? So I'll just show you something really quick. There's two things happening, right? Which is not happening in my case. Some of you, when you're trying to put a coordinates, you are getting a box near your crosshair, isn't it? Yes. So I don't like to complicate things, so I just leave that option off, right? So that's called, that option is called what? How do I move this? Okay. So it is called, so you go right at the bottom right corner, there is 3 horizontal lines you'll see, bottom right corner. Click on it. It says customization. Click on it. Okay. And you'll see dynamic input. Okay. So make sure it's checked. Make sure there's a tick beside dynamic input. Right. Set. So it's checked. Now you go and turn it off. Now you'll see here, right at the bottom where that is your status bar, right? So status bar has a lot of buttons at the bottom. My first one is coordinates, next is model. There's this grid where it says dynamic UCS. There, this one. Okay, if you just move the mouse or hover the mouse over it, you'll see dynamic input. You see that I'll show you the difference. If dynamic input is on, right? If dynamic input is on, you see what happens? If I press on the, if I click beside the crosshair, information appears, right? Excuse me. So now if you want to draw a line, let's say, for example, I'll enter. So it says specify the first point. Nothing gets typed in the command area, okay? The command area always remains blank because dynamic. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is go to dynamic input, make sure if it's in blue, okay, those buttons at the bottom, if it's in blue, it means it's turned on. Okay, you turn off dynamic input so that all of us are on the same page in the sense that everything we type will be in the command area. Okay, not some things are typed in the crosshair place and some things are typed on the command place. So everything will be in the command areas and you can click and type. Okay, numbers or words, whatever. So just turn off dynamic input. Got it? So that should solve the problem that you're not able to type 0,100 or 100,100. Right, so let's say the dynamic button by default is turned off. So you have to go to the bottom right corner, first make that button appear at the bottom. So not all the buttons are available. Right. By default, off. First you have to close the button, and then the bottom right corner. The bit beside it, the button is showing. There is no beside it, the button is not showing. Right. Got it? So all of you should have a square in your workspace, in your model space area. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat this again. The bottom right hand corner, if you need more buttons to play around with. Okay, so you have, see, in your cases, because this is the first time you have opened AutoCAD with your account, the coordinates would be off. So if you would like to turn it on, so you can click on it. So now that button for coordinates will show down there. You see, if you move your crosshair anywhere, it's going to keep on changing the coordinates. Okay. And now pretty much that is what I was going to talk to you about, the buttons. Okay. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just give you a 5 minutes break. Okay, it's 5:56 now. We'll start at 6 o'clock. Right. So just a short break, just to refresh yourself. If you'd like to stand up, okay, stretch your legs. If you'd like to refresh yourself, please do so. We'll start. Remember, time is money, right? So we'll start at 6 o'clock sharp. So in the meantime, if you're having any issues, let us know. Okay, now just yes, just a reminder. For the 3 hours you are here, the only thing you should see on open, or the only program you should see open on your desktop is AutoCAD software. Number 2 are the PDF files, which carry the handout, and the third thing which should be open is the Moodle. Okay, and nothing else. Okay, so you get me, right? In other words, there is no other activity you need to carry out online apart from your classes. Okay, and so you do not need to use your mobile devices if it is necessary to take a call. If it's really necessary, then you can go outside, right? So as not to disturb anyone. Okay, guys, right? So we'll keep a bit of discipline in the class always. Okay, so that nobody gets distracted. Right. So yes, as and when we find time, we come around. And if you have a question, please ask. We'll assist you.
Right, online students, we are back again. So I hope you're still with us. Okay, we'll just carry on with our intro lab. Are there any issues so far in regards to connectivity? Okay, thank you, Thompson. Thank you. You are the most active member in the online group. And yes, thanks, guys. Right.
Okay, now that was a good exercise, right? It's just in the sense that, okay, maybe since I've given you a break, I've introduced myself. I wouldn't ask you to introduce yourself to the entire class. So it's always okay to take help from the person sitting beside you, right? And this is your first year, you're new. What I'd like you to do is obviously you'll have someone sitting to the left or to the right of you, someone sitting in front of you. So just meet and greet, just get to know each other. Okay, just a few minutes. Right, introduce yourself to the person sitting to the left or to the right of you. Okay, right. Okay, and if somebody is not talking to you, you force him or her to, right, tell him his or her name. Okay, and inform who you are as well. Okay. All right, this guy here is sitting alone. Okay, please somebody get to know him, right? So that it doesn't exit the door. Right. Okay, remember you'll be sharing the 3 hours every Tuesday evening. Right. And I will not like I'm being evil or something that I want to force you to be here for the 3 hours. You chose this session. You have to attend this session. This thing I did not tell you in the beginning. Please attend this session. It's a full house, meaning we have all 50 numbers. So if you have signed up for this, so just attend this, right? Okay. And if you have signed up for some other session and because your friends are here or you'd like to be here, you'll need to excuse yourself, okay? And having said that, this is for face-to-face students. I'm circulating the attendance sheet. We'll update it regularly. Attendance is important and compulsory. And if you leave in the middle of the class, we'll mark you as absent, okay? We'll cross off your name. So I'll pass this around, put your name only and your ID and your signature. If your friend was supposed to be here, he or she is absent, don't put their name, okay? That's cheap. Right. Yeah, remember. Okay, now let's draw the same square, but in another way, right? Okay, so would you like to do that? Okay, then I'll just use, okay, yes, before that, okay, let's just talk about these buttons at the bottom. So you have the model button there, that's, now if you click on the next one, you see our different colored page, okay, our white page. Now the layout area, this layout page, now you just like in spreadsheets, okay, Microsoft Excel, you can create many pages or many sheets, sheet 1, sheet 2, okay, it keeps going, right? So you can have multiple layouts. Let's say, for example, remember in model space, you can have multiple drawings, okay, you can have like a floor plane, you could have electrical plane, just saying, right? And you doesn't mean that you need to create new files for each particular plane. You, okay, if you are doing something really, really basic, you could have 3 or 4 drawings on the model's place. But then it depends on the layout, which particular drawing would you like to display. Okay, so the layout is the page. So think of it as you are printing out your drawing, okay, because we'll be not doing any printing. There will be no hard copy submission. But think of it as that you are printing out your drawing. Okay, so that's where this layout, they come in handy. Okay, and the layout area is where we'll draw our title block towards the end of the class. Okay, right. So this is a very handy feature to have. Now that's on the left hand side at the bottom. Towards the right hand side, there are many buttons which I just started talking about before our break. Okay, now we are in the paper space or in the layout space. So that's what it says. If I click on it, I'm back in the model space, right? And this here icon, as I said, if it's in blue, it means that button is turned on. Okay, right. So if you don't like to have the grid at the background, you could just get rid of it. Okay, so it's just empty black without any grid. If you like to have the grid at the background, you could have this button turned on. Now the next one is snap mode, right? Okay, at the moment you do not need to concern yourself with the snap mode. Okay, it's grid snap and polar snap, right? There's a difference between the two, and then you have your snap settings. Right, so this X and Y spacing, it means 0.5. That is how close 0.5 in it. That is how close it snaps to a particular point. In the X-axis or along the X-axis, the snapping distance is 0.5. And along the Y-axis, the snapping distance is also 0.5. So you do not need to change any details. So might as well just not play around with this, okay? The next one is dynamic input. So I asked you, all of you, to leave it off. Okay, so what happens if you leave it on or if you turn it on, that button? So you are having an input option. So you're having an option to input things near your crosshair, right? If you have dynamic input turned off,
So your only option of giving an input to AutoCAD is through the command area and through the dashboard and through the toolbar. Okay, got it? So your crosshair is clean and nice. Nothing is over there except for that cross. All right. So next to that is okay. Next to that is ortho mode. Okay. So right now, if I draw a line and I want to make it really, really straight, I have to take my time and effort to make sure that it's really, really straight. There I go. And then I get, so that's a straight line. If I want to make a vertical line, then right now, there is no restrictions. So I can make lines at any particular angle. So if you turn on the ortho mode, there you go. If I turn it on, you see what happens? I'm restricted. So I can only draw lines horizontally and vertically, right? So what I'd like you to do now is turn on the ortho mode and draw a square again, but this time side of 50. Okay, do that. Use the ortho mode. Perhaps I'll just guide you through the first one. Make sure ortho is turned on. Okay, that button icon, how you see it's the symbol is like a perpendicular sign, isn't it? Or right angle sign. Okay, so ortho mode is there. If for some reason you're not able to see ortho mode, go to the bottom right hand corner and look for ortho mode. Make sure it's checked. If it's checked, that means the button will appear at the bottom. Right, so ortho mode allows you only to draw at or move at 90 degrees. Got it? Or at right angles. So let's start again. Let's try to draw a square with a side of 50. Okay, so line. Okay, so I would like you to pay attention, right? So you'll have less questions to ask. Okay, so there is less confusion. So maybe as I'm going along, then you can do the same thing in front of you. So I have executed, say, specify the first point. So I'm not going to use coordinates anymore, right? So I'm just going to specify it anywhere on the blank page. So let's start from there. Okay. Now, in order to draw this square, let's move in an anti-clockwise direction. All I need to do is guide AutoCAD, okay? Or just guide the line. I do not need to make any clicks, right? So I just need to tell, if you want to make a square to the left, or if you want to make a line to the left, all you need to do is just move the mouse to the left. If you want to make a line to the right, all you need to do is move the mouse to the right. And then you enter, it says specify the next point. So the next point could be a point, it could be a coordinate, or it could be a distance. So what's the distance of our square? How much is it? What did I say? 50, yes. So all you need to do is just simply enter 50. So you see what it does, it makes a horizontal line. There you go. So it makes a horizontal line which has a dimension of 50 units. Now you want to make a square that way, like at the bottom, so to speak. Right, so you just give it direction. You just point the line which way you want it to go. Okay, obviously because it's in ortho mode, so it will not go in any other angle except for 90 degrees. So you just push this line down. Okay, without clicking, you just enter 50. Again. Now it's a square. Obviously, you'll have to go to the left. So just guide it to the left and just press 50. There you go. And in order to complete this square, just guide that line upwards. When I say guide, I mean just move the mouse upwards. Okay, so the line will move upwards. Just guide it and just enter 50. So that's your square completed. Simple enough.
I'm making a square while the auto mode is turned on. Okay, now. So look for that button. Okay. Which has the symbol. So that's how the auto mode operates, right? So that's the button for it at the bottom, auto. So it does two things. Auto mode, if you have it on, it allows you to move things at 90 degrees, and it allows you to draw at 90 degrees, okay, or at right angles. That's auto mode. So the button beside the auto mode is what? Let's just try it out. There, it's called polar tracking. Okay, so we'll just click on that. So if you click on polar tracking, the auto mode will, the button for auto will automatically turn off. Okay, so if you have, okay, once again, I'm going to repeat this. So if you have auto mode turned on, let's say, and now if you click on the next button, if you turn it on, it's right now it's off. If you click on polar tracking, sorry, auto mode will automatically turn off. So it's sort of like opposite to each other. So while auto mode allows you to only draw at right angles, polar tracking, it provides you a guidance or assistance. Let's say if you want to draw lines at some particular angles, let's say 30, 60, 90, or maybe 45, okay, degrees. So just beside polar tracking, you have an arrow which is pointed downwards. Can you see that? Yes or no? Yes. So click on that. So it gives you option. You see the first one is 90, 180. The second one is 45, 90, 135. Let's click on 30, 60, 90. Okay. Okay, so somewhere again, start with your line command and specify the first point anywhere. So you see what happens? 0 degrees, it gives you a green line. It tells you, provides you assistance that it's straight. Okay. Now, if you want to draw a line at 30 degrees, you keep going. So you see, as soon as you reach 30 degrees, again, a green line will be shown, imaginary green line. So there's a guidance line. Okay, because you have turned on polar tracking. Got it? So you can click there. Now, let's say you want to draw a line from that point 60 degrees. Okay, with respect to the horizontal. Okay, if you want to draw a line at 60 degrees with respect to the horizontal, so that is 0 degrees, that is 30 degrees there. How do I know it's 30 degrees? It tells me that information just beside the crosshair, that it's 30 degrees. And again, I know because there's a green line. It's imaginary green line. It disappears as soon as I move away. So let's say I want to make a line at 90 degrees is there, vertical, and let's say 120 degrees. Okay, there you go. So that is what polar tracking does. Okay, it right. So polar tracking. So now you have options. If you go to polar tracking, by default, in your case, it would be at 90, 180. So if you again execute the line command there at 90 degrees, at 0 degrees, it shows a green line. Okay. At 90 degrees, it shows a green line. At 180 degrees, it shows a green line. At 270, it will show a green line. And back at 0 degrees, it will show a green line. Right. So polar tracking is like assistance to you while you are drawing. So at all times, at most of the times, you would by default have that turned on, right? To assist you while drawing. So once you know the angle, if you know what distance the line has to be, then you can just enter the distance while the angle is already set in place. Okay.
there I go. Okay, there's one button by default, except for my case, in all of your PCs, it will not be showing by default. So what I'd like you to do is go to the bottom right hand corner and find where it says line weight and make display that button. Right. So just give me a bit of a challenge. Find where line weight is. Go to the bottom right hand corner, line weight, line weight. What do you think line weight means? How heavy a line is? Weight. What do you think it means? Line weight. Let's try to understand the difference. Line weight and line type. What's line type? You might have come across the term like construction lines, isn't it? What are those construction lines? Light. Okay, just construction work. Then you have outlines, isn't it? Another type of line is what? In engineering drawings. Yes, the dashed ones. Yes, hidden lines. Another line to indicate centers of circles or concentric shapes. Those are called center lines, exactly. So those are different line types. Then you have line weights. Line weight means you can adjust the thickness of lines. Okay, so I have a line here. So, okay, firstly, make sure beside line weight, the tick is there. If the tick is there, that means at the bottom, that button will show up. Okay, so by default, line weight, okay, line weight is turned off. Okay, let's have it off. So what I'd like you to do is, okay, I showed you how to draw things, but I didn't show how to remove or erase things. So if you want to erase or delete anything, all you need to do is select and just press delete on your keyboard. Okay, if you want to delete a line, just press delete. Okay, then you can have the options of selecting multiple things. Delete. Okay. If you want to make multiple selections, just click and drag. Right. So if anything is highlighted in blue as such, as you can see in front of you, it means it's highlighted, it's selected. Then you can either change its properties or delete it. Right. So that's how you make a selection. So if you click and drag it out, if you click and keep the mouse button pressed, it will make a selection as such. Okay. So let's change the line weight. Let's have a simple, you can have any line or any the side of one of the squares you can change. So you take this line, click on it, it's highlighted. So what I'd like you to do now for that highlighted line, I would like you to do a right click. Okay. First do a left click on the line to highlight it, and then do a right click to if you do a right click, this will show up. A box will pop up. Then click on properties. Got it? I'll repeat that for you. So you take any line for that matter. It doesn't have to be horizontal. I'm just giving an example. So take a horizontal line, click on it. It's highlighted. Then do a right click on it to bring up its properties. Okay, so where it says properties, you can do a click on that, do a left click on that. Okay, now let's try to change the weight of the line. Okay, let's try to make it thicker. Okay, or change the line thickness. So somewhere you will see line weight. So it says line weight over here. So it starts with color. You can even change the color of the lines. Okay, so by default it's white because it has a white, a black background, right? So you have a white line color by default. You have line types, you have line type scale, all the other things. So line weight. If you click on it, you can change the line thickness, right? So in my case, I'll make it 0.8. Okay. Does the line thickness change? Is it changing? No, it's not. If it's not changing, then what I'd like you to do is go to that button which you created or which you showed, the line weight button, and then turn it on. If you turn it on, you'll see it changes. And now if you try to make the change for the line weight, okay, so it keeps on increasing. Yes, theta. That's- Yeah. So the change will happen, but it will only be displayed if you have line weight button turned on. Yes. So what's happening? I've made this line 2 mm thick, right? But let's escape from here. You see the line weight button at the bottom? That's on now because I can see a thick line. It's off now. So the reason you have that button is because you are doing a lot of drawing. It can get messy, right? Even though you'll have different line types or line weight, sorry, but you have that button for that option. So your drawings are not messy when you're trying to make a construction, doing construction work with your drawings. Everyone can fill in their attendance, right? Okay, it's good, interesting to see. Okay, remember it's a software, so it's like driving a car, isn't it? When you first learn to drive a car, it's like you're really, really scared. But some of you might not be, but the more you drive a car, the better you get it, right? So the same thing with AutoCAD. The more you use it, it's not something which will be able to break. Okay, the software won't break. You won't be able to break it, unlike a car, right? Yeah. So the more you use, the better you'll get at it. So you can keep trying different things. As I can see, some of you are changing the color of the line, the line types. Okay. So yeah, when you can for a circle, if you make a circle, you can change the line weight, change the line type. Right. It's going to play around with this, so that you are more engaged with the software itself. Okay, so that was really, really simple thing I asked you to do. Just change the line weights. Still, anyone is having any issues with it? Would like some assistance with it? No? Okay, so let's look at another button, which is beside polar tracking. It's called object snap tracking and object snap, right? So you might have seen some icons appearing here and there while you are trying to draw that square. Okay, so if you still have that square as part of your drawing, I would like you to draw a circle. Okay, the center of the circle has to be the center of the circle has to be the top left corner of the square. Okay, draw a circle of diameter 25. Okay, so listen to my instructions really carefully. Draw a circle of diameter 25, and the center of that circle has to be the top left corner of that square. Okay, if you have a square that is in front of you. Now, if you'd like to draw a circle, you can either use the dashboard, or if you look at the menu bar right at the top, it says draw. Click on draw and then go to circle. So execute a command. Try to work with AutoCAD. Okay, whatever instruction you give, in return, it will give you a feedback. So reply to that feedback. So once you enter the circle command, it will ask you for what? A center, isn't it? It will say specify the center. So the center has to be the top left corner. Now another thing, draw a horizontal line. Okay, I don't want you to measure out the distance. Just draw a straight horizontal line somewhere on the blank space. Please, everyone, do that. Draw a horizontal line. Do not measure. Do not, when I say draw a horizontal line, just click. One click for the start. Make sure it's horizontal. If you'd like to use the auto mode, go ahead, do that. And then specify an endpoint. Do not measure out that line. Right. Okay, set. Everyone has drawn a horizontal line. Right, good. Now, draw a circle, and the center of that circle, which you will draw, has to be the midpoint of the line you just drew. Got it? Draw a circle. Now, I give you the, it's your choice. Whatever diameter you'd like that circle to have, go. Okay, feel free. But the center of that circle has to be the midpoint of the line which you just drew. So I asked you to draw a horizontal line, even if it's a vertical line, that's fine. But the circle, the center of the circle has to be the midpoint. Let's see if you're able to pick out how to find the midpoint. You don't have any time to do can you remember how you define any line? How do you define the midpoint of that? You measure it from the capital. Above, bisector, take out, square. Here, how you gonna do it? Software will do it for you. If you the bottom one, at snapping of pick it up, go over the line, show you the red part where it's the midpoint. Do it. Okay, so this is where object track, so these two buttons are useful. You can see object snap tracking and you can see object snap. So beside object snap, there is a arrow pointed downwards. So click that arrow and you see what happens. Endpoint is checked, midpoint is checked, center is checked, and then there are many other options. Okay. So if you need, AutoCAD will automate, if you draw a line, you do not know the length of the line, AutoCAD will automatically give you the endpoints of the line. AutoCAD will automatically give you the midpoint of the line. Got it? As long as, so if in, I think in your case, midpoint will not be selected. Set. So you select midpoint. Let's just draw a circle, see enter. So how do you find the midpoint? All you need to do is move the mouse over. Specify the center point for the circle. So if you move, let's start from the left-hand side. The square is there, okay? The left-hand side, you see what happens? There's a green icon and it says endpoint. So you are snapping. It's called snapping to a particular point. So the cursor or the crosshair has snapped to the endpoint of the line which you just drew. Now let's find the midpoint. So if you can just move across, you see automatically. So the symbol for midpoint is a triangle. and the color is green. So that's how you know that's the midpoint. Okay. And then the other endpoint, there it is. That's the endpoint. So there you go. And the circle I said, you can draw it out. That's your dimension you can use. So if you have done it correctly, use the midpoint of the line. So as an exercise for that square, what I'd like you to do is draw. Yeah, you have drawn a circle in the corner. So the same thing applies. See, enter. So if you reach the corner, it shows endpoint. You see? It's the endpoint of the line. So you can draw a circle from there. Let's say 20. 20 is too big. So to everyone, face to face and online, right? So we have completed. So I've introduced you pretty much to the basics, right? All the buttons there are at the bottom, the ones which you will be using, okay? And what are their functions? What's the model screen? What's the layout screen? Okay, so with that, we complete the introductory notes, okay?
Dear students, now I will discuss about the importance of saving your work regularly. So when you start off with a new drawing, it's a good idea to first start saving your work and then periodically save your work as you are working on it. So it does two things. Number one is so that you are able to open the files in some other device, and number two, that the file which you save can be opened successfully by the person who will be marking once you submit your work. So I'll just quickly discuss the file extension which AutoCAD uses. So what I mean by file extension is if you're typing in Microsoft Word and you're saving your work, so the file extension it uses is .doc or .docx, okay? And similarly in PDF files, if you're saving PDF files, you would see at the end it's .pdf. So that PDF software recognizes that it's a PDF file and it is able to successfully open it. Now, just taking you to the Moodle shell where you will be submitting your CAD Lab 1, it gives you instructions that you are to only submit .dwg files here. So the file extension which AutoCAD uses is .dwg. Now to save your work, okay, so if I have done some drawing, then I will go to file, okay, so, or you could just go to the top where you have the menu bar and look for the save icon, okay, and then save your work. Or you could go to file, click on it and save. So it will open a new dialog box, and then you can select the folder where you would like to save your work. And this is important, the file name. So I would write, it currently says drawing 1, I could save it as, just giving you an example once again, CAD Lab 1. Make sure that .dwg, it remains there, and below it files of type. So you save it at that particular format. So AutoCAD 2018.dwg. Now it is important to continue using this file format because as I said earlier, so that you are able to save your work, and if you need it to open in other devices where AutoCAD is installed, you don't run into any troubles, and all your work will be able to be marked successfully if they are in this particular format. So once you have selected this, then you can click on save, and that saves your work. And if you have made some changes, you can always keep clicking on the, or periodically click on the save button in order to save your work, so that you don't lose any work in case there's a power failure or some other malfunctions on the instrument or your equipment.
The guys online and also for face-to-face as well. I'll repeat this. So if you want to write a text in AutoCAD, so we'll just first go to formats. Now before that, sometimes in AutoCAD the menu bar does not show up. So what you do is just beside the share button, okay, there is an arrow which is pointed downwards. You click on that, and the second last button, it says show menu bar. So you click on it and it will show the menu bar, right? So that menu bar has a lot of options, starting with file, edit, view, insert, format. So you go to format, click on format. So we are trying to first format and then write our text. So you go to text style. So once we start to dimension, then we'll go to dimension style, right? And all those other things. Excuse me. So go to text style. So the font name is Times New Roman. So look for it and select that. And the text height we are going to use is 2.5. Okay, so two things you need to change: font name and the text height. After that, you click on set current. So what does that mean is, awesome. So what that means is, if for some reason you have some text written and you would want it automatically to change into that particular format, which is Times New Roman with 2.5, so it will, right? So set current and then apply and close. Okay, so now to insert text into your drawings or wherever you wish to. So you have two options: single line text and a multi-line text. So if you use multi-line text, so execute that command. So it will say specify the first corner. That's your first corner, and specify the opposite corner. And then you can start writing. Okay, so in my case, I'll write MM101. Sorry. CAD lab 1. So the meaning for multi-line is, now you can see I've written it took 2 lines, right? So that's a multi-line text, multiple lines, okay? If it's single line text, it will just write in a single line. So writing text is the simplest thing in CAD, okay? Right, so there you go. And after that, you can make many adjustments. So you can select it. After you made a selection using a left click, then you can do a right click and change properties. Got it? So there you go. So that's how you write text in AutoCAD. So after that comes, so you know how to do. Okay, so we are going to go back to our favorite square and circle, right? So in my case, I'll have to draw the square once again, just to give you an example. So if you'd like to follow along, please do so. Anyone still left with attendance? And for those of you online, can you please just in the chat box, just put in your name and your ID and which campus you are joining from, either Samoa or Vanuatu. So that will be your attendance for today's class. Okay, online students, please, as part of your attendance, put your name and your ID together with your campus location in the chat box. So that will be your attendance. Okay, now let's once again. So we are almost reaching towards the end of the class, right? So this is the second last exercise or activity or the demonstration which I need to give to you. The last thing is setting up the page and drawing the title block, and then we are done, right? So yeah, we have ample time. Okay, but it will take up till 8 o'clock, right? Or just before 8 o'clock. So we can draw a square now.
Okay, maybe I'll just show you guys once again, right? If I want to draw a square with a side of 100, right? So L enter. Okay. So how do I just restrict my movement along the vertical and the horizontal line? What do I do? See, now I'm able to move at all angles. What feature should I use? Ortho, right? So if I click on ortho, then I'm only allowed to move in straight lines, okay, vertically or horizontally. So what I'm doing here is I've specified a first point, and now I'm just going to direct the cursor to downwards, okay, and all I need to do is press 100, okay. I don't need to explicitly go and click there, okay, or in order for that cursor to blink. As long as I just need to just type 100, no matter wherever that crosshair or that cursor is, right? 100. See, it automatically picks in the command box that I have typed something in my keyboard. So 100, enter. Okay, once again, I'm just going to guide my line horizontally now. Okay, 100 once more. Again, upwards, just guiding my line, and 100, enter. Okay, about to finish, I can do two things: guide my line or just snap to the end point. Okay, there you go. That's my square done. So that is a square with side 100. Okay, so the next thing I will do is, by the way, I've shown you guys how to erase things, isn't it? How to delete things. Okay, if I have a line, that's another command, it's easy one. So there you go. Either you can use the erase function. Erase removes objects from the drawing. Okay, that's erase. There you go, simple. Or we are used to deleting things, right? So horizontal line, you can use the erase button as well, okay? Where it says modify on the dashboard, there is a rubber symbol, okay? Eraser symbol on a pencil. So you hit that very simply, whichever part of the drawing you'd like to erase. So if you just move your mouse over it, there you go, right? There's an X symbol, automatically it pops up. Click on it, okay? And then you have select, okay? Keep track of what is the command box telling you. It's saying select object. You have selected that line to delete, press enter, right? So that's how you erase things or delete. Or the simplest way to do it is select that line which you want to delete and hit the delete key on the keyboard. What's next? Okay, so I have a square. Now, if you have a square which does not have anything, what I'd like you to do is draw a circle in one of the corners of that square, right? So that the center of the circle is the corner of that square. Okay, maybe use a diameter of 20. Right, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so what's the shortcut key or the command for circle? C, right? So it is asking me, excuse me, specify the center point for the circle. Okay, I'll go with the top right corner. So that's the center point of the circle. And specify the radius of the circle. So the radius is 10. So now let's use everybody's favorite function, right? When it comes to any software, copy, right? What's the shortcut for copy in Word? There you go. Everybody knows it, right? Control C. And what's the shortcut for pasting? Control C, Control V. See, those are shortcuts. Okay. Now, because what I'm trying to tell you here is I want 3 other circles on the 3 other corners. Okay. So what we can do is we have a couple of options. We can either draw out the 3 circles. So let's do this. Let's just copy this circle. Okay, because we have made it to a particular dimension. Let's just copy this circle and paste it on the other 3 corners. Okay.
So very simply, again, you can go to the dashboard where it says modify, look for copy. There you go, copy. And the shortcut for copy is CO. Okay. In other words, if you go to the command, if you'd like to use that option, so as soon as you press C, CO means that's the shortcut copy. So it says select object. What do we want to copy? The circle or the square? The circle. Okay, good. So select the circle. One found. So what do we do now? We have selected the circle. What do? We press enter. Okay, set. Now, the good thing about AutoCAD is it will ask you for a reference point. You are copying a circle, but from which point do you want to copy a circle? Right, let's say, for example, if you have it's like AutoCAD is so specific. If you have a chair, let's say, for example, right? And if you'd like to move that chair, so in same terms, AutoCAD is asking me, which point would you like me to pick up the chair from? Would you like me to hold the back support and then lift the chair? Or would you like me to hold the seat and then copy the chair? Or would you like me to use the legs and then copy the chair, right? So it's asking me for a reference point. So for a circle, the most common, the most easiest reference point is the center, isn't it? So we are copying the circle from its center. Okay, so you see what happens? But it's not an issue. Why am I only being able to copy? Why am I being restricted? That I can only copy in the horizontal direction and move vertically. Why can't I move in any other angles? What's the reason? Exactly, because I have ortho tendon. You see, in ortho, there are two options. If ortho is tendon, you can only draw in 90 degrees or perpendicularly. Right angles, not perpendicular. And if you have ortho tendon, you can only move objects or copy objects. Now, if you turn off ortho, there you go. I'm going to paste or copy that circle and paste it there, that corner. And I'm going to paste it there in the bottom right corner. And I'm going to paste it on the top, the bottom left corner. So the copy command is still active, right? So I can make multiple copies. There you go. See? So if I want to exit or move out of the command, what I'll do is press the escape key. Got it? Right. Good. All of you are on the same track. So this drawing I have made here, a square with 4 circles, I can even make a copy of that as well. Got it? How do I do that? Is I can once again execute the copy command CO and select object. So this time I'll select the entire object, meaning the 4 circles with the rectangle. So 8 objects are found. Okay, now answer this question for me. We have a square and we have 4 circles. Why is AutoCAD telling me that 8 found? Do you understand my questions? Right? I made a selection. You see, my selection is everything highlighted in blue. I have 1 square and I have 4 circles I've selected. Altogether, that's 5. But why is AutoCAD telling me 8 found? Right, because, okay, good. You have picked it up. AutoCAD, even though we are seeing a square, AutoCAD is seeing it as 4 lines joined together, right? It is not treating it as a single object. Whereas for the circle, it's treating it as a single object. Got it? That's the difference. Right. So later on, maybe in a few more weeks, we'll learn how to turn, let's say, for example, that square, that 4 lines into a single object. How to make it into a square. Right. Right now, technically, it is just 4 lines put together. Right. But to us, it's a square. Okay, so 8 found. After that, objects are selected. Press enter. So specify base point or displacement mode. Right. So where you'd like to copy from. Okay. Maybe I'd like to take the midpoint of that line. Okay. So my starting point of copying is from there. So there you go, that's copying. Yeah, I made a copy there. I made a third copy there. So in a similar way, I'd like you to execute or use the move command. So now you have learned how to copy. Teach yourself how to use the move command. Look for the move button in the dashboard. Copy and move are very, very similar. The only thing is copy copies, move, it doesn't make a copy, right? So move something, move a part of your drawing or move the text. So where is the move command? It's yeah, that one, right? The one with arrow symbol. So click on that. Same thing, it will ask you to select objects. So I want to move this somewhere else. I have selected my objects, hit enter. Same thing, it will say, you pick a point where you want to move from, right? So I want to move from the midpoint, let's say of the top line, right? So moving, so specify the second point means you're moving from where and you're moving to where, right? So if you're moving from this chair and you are moving to the back of the room, so your first point will be the front of the room and the second point will be the back of the room, okay? So specify the second point, there you go. So I moved my shape, isn't it? So try it out, try to move things, try to move objects or shapes, or try to move your drawings, try to copy your drawings. Okay, how to make selection, how to select. So if you click outside and then keep the button pressed, it will make a selection this way. It's a lasso selection, right? And if you just click and let it go and then drag it out and then click once again, okay, it makes a square selection. Okay, I have another exercise for you. So we have a square, 4 circles in the corners, and part of the circle is inside the square, isn't it? Right. So what do you call that? Segment or sector or what's the proper term? Part of the circle is, let's pick up. What do you call that? Is it a segment or a sector or arc? So you see this a quarter of a circle is inside the square. What is it? Arc, segment, or sector? It's an arc, isn't it? What's a segment? A slice of a pie or a slice of a pizza is what? Pie. It is still a pie, right? Okay, good one. I think it's called a segment, isn't it? If you take a slice of a pizza, it's coming from a circle. So it's, what do you call it? Segment or sector? Sector. There you go. Good. Now arcs. Okay. So the 4 arcs. Okay, let's take one arc. So what I'd like you to do is trim it. Okay. Let's just remove the arc which is inside. Okay. Do that for one of the circles. So for that, you'll have to trim. I'm saying trim it out. So look for the trim command or the trim button. Again, it's under modify. So in the dashboard, look for modify, look for where trim is, and trim it out. Okay, now the thing is, if you have 2 objects intersecting, okay, if you'd like to remove the intersection point, so you can use the trim command. Okay, so look for trim. Oh, by the way, you'll see this note, it's written here that it's dated, the date is 2016, right? Okay, so, but these notes were produced that time in 2016.
So the AutoCAD version was 2016 and late, earlier, but they are still applicable today, right? So some of the things in this latest software, it's been made really, really easy. So at that time, way back in 2016, if you had to trim, there was a host of things you had to do. But now if you need to trim, all you need to do is look for the trim icon. There you go. Trim. And then whichever part of the drawing you'd like to trim, so there you go. You see what happens? I just moved my mouse over it and the X symbol in red appears. So it meaning, do you want to trim that? It is asking me. So yes, I want to trim that. Maybe in this case, I can trim this too, right? So I'm just playing around with it. You can do the same. Right, and the other ones, I can trim that. So there and there. See? So that's how trim works, right? So if you have intersecting objects, you can trim it out, okay? You'll use trim functions a lot, especially when it will come to 3-dimension, right? But in a more sophisticated way. Okay, so far so good. We are, yes, half an hour left to go. So that's trim. Now the opposite of trim, so to speak, is extend, right? So all of you are comfortable with trimming? You have tried it out on your own? Yes? Anyone having any issues? Now things are becoming really easy, right? Okay.
So you have already trimmed them, inner, outer. There you go.
Okay, now the let's carry on from here. Opposite, not opposite, but kind of like the opposite of trim is extend, right? So I can't find the symbol for extend in modify, so let's just type it out in the command box. Extend, so EX. Once you start here, the first one it comes, the shortcut is EX, right? X. Okay, EX. So the first one, click on extend. So extend, what it does is very simply, so there you go. That line, if you like to extend that, it extends, right? But it won't do that for circles, okay? Because it is treating it as a solid object, right? So, got it? So you can extend lines. There you go. There you go. Okay, so that's how extend works. Okay, once again, I'm going to show you. Okay, I'll move out of that extend command. So the shortcut for extend in the command prompt area or the command box area, you type EX or you type the entire word if you're not sure. Extend, EXTEND. Okay, click on it. So it will say select objects to stand or shift select to trim or boundary edges process mode project. Okay, always remember whatever information is given inside the square brackets, those are your options. Okay. So the more you use AutoCAD, the better you understand those options. Right. And then you can go ahead and start extending lines. So normally extend works on lines. Okay, you're extending lines. Maybe by mistake you have trimmed it out. You would like to get it back again, or if you'd like to extend it again. So you use the extend function. So they are opposite to each other. So that's extend. After that, So all of you are comfortable with zooming in and out of the page, of the screen, or model page? Just use the scroll, right? And if in my case, like I, I have a lot of drawings, but only one is showing, right? So if, remember on the right hand side, there is some other icons, okay? So there's zoom extends. Okay, there's many types of zoom functions available. So zoom there. What happens? Zoom extends. What it does, it tries to, if you have drawings all over the place, it will try to get all those drawings displayed. Okay, it will try to zoom out to that extent so that everything is showing. Okay, all the drawings you have made in the model space. All right. And the other one is pen. Okay, if you are penning around, it means you are moving from side to side or up or down. Right. So for that, either there are two ways to pen. Either you press down on the scroll button. As soon as you press down, the crosshair will change to a hand symbol. Okay. Press down on the scroll button, then you can move from side to side and up and down. Or you can use that icon there to pen around. Okay. So it's like you're holding that paper and trying to move around to get to the proper area. So that's penning, right? Pen and zoom. Okay, I know all this while you might have been zooming out and then zooming into your exact drawing, right? You can also pen around. Okay, sometimes it will have, if you'll have a lot of drawings, it will become a hard task to just zoom out and zoom in. So you can use pen at the same time. Okay, so now we have completed all the coverage for all the buttons, for all the, how to say, all the functions here. So all the functions we need to order to throw out. The last and the very important thing is that you need to be able to put your drawing inside a pattern, right? So you have done all your drawings. I need to set everything. So as I was saying in the very beginning, where it says CAD Lab 1 on Moodle, okay, there were two files. It gave you the submission format, isn't it? Yes. There you go. The submission format. Let's just download that. And also the question paper. Oh, yes. There you go.
You can discard the submission things. You don't need to do any printout for this. For MM101, you do not need a print copy. Whatever you do, just the soft copy, .dwg file, no PDF. .dwg file to be saved and uploaded to the module submission. Okay? If you delay, every day it will be 20% deduction, strictly. There is a reason, because you have to also know the time management in real life, okay? So don't take it personally that we didn't give you the marks intentionally. No, it is to keep you on track. So any submission, it should be submitted by the due date. It's clear, okay? No email sending, no attachment. Will not be able to entertain 300 students every week. Sir, my missing one. You understand? So everybody on time, submit on the module. That's it. Plagiarism, no excuse. And I think Mr. Sandeep has showed, we can see the properties of the file of the AutoCAD. We can see who has created that, how many hour, minute spent on that file. So we already understand you have created this today for 2 hours, 3 hours. If it is created 1 year back, you didn't born in this university that time. So how that file came? That file came because you took it from your friends or the senior fellows. We'll pick it. I mean it, we'll pick it. So don't try that way. Everything is there, you do it. And that's how you're gonna learn. Now coming back, here use the coordinates for the point joining. It's very clear. All the required dimension is given. And the your object is basically here. A triangular shape object. Inside there is some lines connections. So far, what has been taught by Mr. Sandeep, all of you know how to draw a line, how to do the trimming if needed, ortho, perpendicular line, horizontal line. So you can easily draw this thing. Do you have that confidence? If you try another hour by yourself, recall all the notes. If you, even this session is recorded, it will be posted to the announce. If you need, you can go back and see. It's already recording, okay? So you can see by tomorrow it will be updated to the announcement. Okay, now using all these dimension, thick line, dimensioning, gradually at this point you don't need to show the dimension, only draw using the appropriate line thickness. Okay, gradually as an engineer, when you submit any design or drawing, it must be, nobody will come and tell you what is required there. But as a beginner, we are telling you that you need the object, thin line, thick line, hidden line, center line, more are coming, okay? Dimension, yes, but for this particular lab 1, you will submit like that's your template. MM101 title block. This is not the standard title block. When you will be in a higher course, you will learn more. I'm also parallelly doing it in the lecture. We started today this topic, okay? So for MM101, you will specifically for lab, for CAD test, for assignment, for project, you'll use the same template. Okay? You can rename it template 1 or copy and paste to the new file. Now, here we are giving you some marking criteria, how we're gonna mark it. This is the answer actually. We are giving the answer sheet to you and telling that's how we're gonna mark. What does it mean? After 1 or 2, you'll see there is no submission format, only the question. So by default, you have to understand how to present it. Following all those components, like title block, there are some marks, scaling, there are some marks, drawing itself, some marks, and total, that's 10 marks. These 10 marks is the raw marks. If you get 10 out of 10, means 2 marks you have collected for lab 1. Lab 2, 2 marks, lab 3, and 20 marks covering all 8 labs. So all the labs are important. Okay? If you miss 3 of them, your grade A plus will drop down to A. Every 6 months, 6 marks, there is a grade shift. Okay? You can go up or you can go down. That's up to you. So now, these, Mr. Sandeep will tell you on the AutoCAD in the layout page, how you actually set up these page boundaries. Also, it is covered in your handout. The last 2 or 3 pages clearly explains what is there. Eventually, you will see it is drawing some lines only, what you have learned so far. Okay?
Okay. So this is a PDF file, right? This is not what we want from you. So as Sir has mentioned, right now it looks white. The drawings which you have done are all done on a black background, isn't it? Which is your model space. So now what you will do is, if you go to AutoCAD, and by the way, yes, you were asking me where are we getting that information from? These, so if you go again, just on, where's Moodle? Yeah. So yeah, if you scroll down, you'll find labs, and within that lab subsection, you have all the information. The folder for the lab manual and CAD Lab 1. Okay, those 2 files which we just showed you, that was from CAD Lab 1, the submission format and the handout.
Okay, and the lab manual is here. So we are right now discussing lab 1. Okay, so we might use this in a wee bit. Okay, so let's go back to CAD. Okay, so let's assume that we need to, that's our final drawing, make an assumption, right? That's your final drawing. This is what you'd like to submit. Okay, everything is set. You don't need to dimension it. Okay, it is as it's supposed to be. Now let's move on to the layout screen. Okay. Right. So sometimes when nothing happens, you just have to escape, right? Because what was happening in my case, the pen command was still active, right? So I just escaped from it. Now I'm in layout 1. Now you see. So far, all the while, I was asking you to draw circles. I was asking you to draw a square. We were just using units. There was no dimension attached to it. Okay, right. So I have a question for you. Right. So let's say you drew a square. Each side was 100. Now, there are two options, right? For the first one, you have to display your drawing, let's say on paper. Let's assume you have to print it out. On the first piece of A4 paper, you will print it out, okay, and the scale will be 1:1. Got it? You're printing out a square, remember. The size of the square is 100. The length of each side is 100. Okay, you could say 100 mm. So the first printout will be on a scale of 1:1. The second printout will be on a scale of 1:2. What will be the difference between the two? What will be the obvious difference between the two drawings which you print out? One is on a scale of 1:1. The other one is on a scale of 1:2. Feel free to shout out an answer.
Today, we have discussed that point in the lecture. Just today. If you are there, 1:1, the first number is for what? The drawing one. And the second number is the real world. So 1:1, it will be the 100, 100, 100 real world and that one. The second one, 1:2. That means 100 will become 50 in the paper, smaller than the 1:1. Isn't it? Simple answer.
Yes. So the obvious difference would be the scale, which is 1:1. It will be of the original same size, right? But the one which you printed out on a scale of 1:2, it will be smaller than the one which you drew, okay? Because it is a reduction scale, 1:2, right? In other words, 1:2 is 1 divided by 2, which is 0.5, okay? So reduction by half, okay? Got it? So that's the difference between scales. Okay, so the first thing to do is, once you go to the layout, please, I would like all of you to pay attention. Okay, you can look at the screens. Right, after I give you an example, I'll redo it. Okay, then you follow. So we have to set up the page. Okay, so right now, if you zoom in and out, you are zooming out in and out of the drawing or zooming in and out of the page? The page, right? You'll see that white screen, that white thing is the page. Okay, everything outside, which is the gray area, is not the page. Okay, so you're zooming in and out of the page. So what you do is, right at the top, you see that icon there, which represents a printer. You click on that. It's called plot. So there's only 3 things we need to change. Okay, I'm going to repeat this. Okay, you can. So right at the top, it says plot. Click on it. Okay, a dialog box opens up. Right. So what we are doing now is effectively setting the paper size. Just like a Word document, you'd like to, obviously, whether it's a layout mode or a portrait mode, okay? This is layout mode, that is portrait. Okay, so obviously you have to set the paper size, you have to set the orientation. So the name, plotter name, okay? So you can select anyone by default. Let's go with this one. Okay, so I've selected, even if you select, right.
Because we are not printing in the real
Yes.
paper. We are printing at the top of the PDF.
Right, so it's DWF. Now that's number one. The number two is to select the appropriate paper size, right? So I think it's yes, ISO full bleed A4, right? Okay, that's the paper size we will select. You see what happens once you change the paper size, this symbol here, it changes, right? So our orientation of that paper changes. So our paper is now 297 millimeters by 210 millimeters, okay? So we are starting to resemble whatever was asked in the submission format, right? So our paper is now starting to look like whatever it was in the submission format, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to repeat this. Paper size will be ISO full bleed A4. There are two options. Select the one at the bottom, 297 by 210, right? Now the third thing to change is the scale. Now we are coming to the scale, right? All this while we were drawing, there was no scale set. We are setting the scale of the paper. Got it? So scale, select custom. So 1 millimeter is equal to 1 unit. Okay, so in other words, 1:1. So three things. Number one, select the printer name. Number two, select the paper size. Number three is select the scale. So it's custom 1:1. So 1 mm is equal to 1 unit. After that, you click on apply to layout because you have selected layout 1. So if you click apply to layout, it will automatically apply to the current layout which you are in, which is layout 1. So click on apply to layout and then click OK. Okay, then it pops out, right? To save this. Okay, that's the template. Yeah. So you can save this. Okay, give it a name. Right, that's in DWF format. Right.
Do not change these two things. Only just the name part. .dwg extension. Don't change.
Okay, save this. Right. So something happens. Okay. See, the drawing area is now at the bottom left corner. It's really small now. Why? Because you have given the appropriate paper size. Now you have told AutoCAD, okay, the paper size I will be using is A4. Okay, the scale I'm using for the paper is 1 unit is equal to 1 mm. So now I'm using mm. 1 unit is equal to 1 mm. So what you will do next is the small square here, you will select it. It will be highlighted in blue and then you'll hold and drag it out. Got it? There you go. Set. I'm going to repeat that again. So after you hit apply to layout and hit OK, close that dialog box for the printer. Then you come to this right at the corner. Select that. Okay, and then hold one of the corners. When I say hold, click on it. While keeping the left button of the mouse clicked, hold, press and drag it out. And then release the, or you can click once again. Right. That's what happens. Okay, I'll repeat this whole procedure once again. Okay, using layout 2. Okay, but this time very quickly. So let's assume this is layout 1. Okay, so first things first, that right at the top, that printer icon. Okay, single plot. Name of the printer, I will select DWF6 ePlot. Okay, that's the name. And the paper size is ISO full bleed A4. Set. The third thing is the scale. 1 mm is equal to 1 unit. After that, I'll click apply to layout and then I click OK. Right. So for every layout I set the page, it asks me to save, right? Okay. So I save it. Whatever name you'd like to give, right? By default, I've just used that one. So you see this happens. Right. The paper adjusts itself. Now the drawing area you'll see it right at the bottom left corner. So what you do is there. Select it and then drag it out. Right. So you double click, if you double click outside in the gray area, nothing happens. If you make a double click inside the white area, something happens. And then you try to zoom in and zoom out. Got it? So I'd like your attention, please. Look at this, right? So believe me, if you have lost track for a bit, not to worry, okay? Don't panic because slowly you'll get the hang of this. This is your first try, right? So just give me your attention for a few minutes and then we'll be set. So if I double click outside in the gray area and if I double click inside, what's the obvious difference you notice? I'll try that once again. Outside double click, inside double click. You see this border here? The black one, the black border out right round, it gets highlighted. Okay. Outside, nothing happens. I click outside, I zoom in and zoom out, the page changes. Okay, page zooms in and zooms out. I double click inside, you see that border there, it's highlighted in black. That's called the viewport. If you are inside the viewport, you can zoom in and out of the drawing. If you are outside the viewport, when I say if you are outside, I mean if you double click outside the viewport, you zoom in and out of the page. If you're zooming in and out of the page, you are pretty much not changing any scale because the page scale has already been set when we were setting up the page. Okay, but if you are inside the viewport and if you zoom in and out, you see the scale is here. Pay attention to that bottom corner where the numbers are. Right. I'm inside my drawing space and I'm zooming in and out. You see the scale changes? Got it? Right. So if I need a scale of 1:1, there you go. That's 1:1. If I need a scale of 1:2, that's 1:2. So that is how you will set scale for your exercise. I think the scale you are asked to use is 20:1, isn't it?
Because 1:20.
No, it's 20:1. Yeah. So how do you catch this is if you look at the dimensions in a drawing, they are pretty small. And once you draw out your exercise, you will think the drawing looks small. But when you scale it up, because you are using an enlargement scale, okay, a scale is 20:1, right? Got it? So, right, once I have set, let's say in this case, my scale is 1:1. Once you've set the scale, double click outside the viewport, okay, because you have set the scale. If you, by mistake, you zoom in and out, you are changing the scale once again of your drawing. Once you set the scale, double click outside. All right, then by the way, all this information is given in your handout, right? I know you don't really like to read, but the more you read through this handout, the better you will understand than what I'm telling you, okay? Right. So that's the title block, which you need to draw out. You will not really like me for this because I'll just breeze through this because of the time constraint. What's the title block? And the dimension is given here, right? It's just drawing rectangles.
So I'll just quickly draw that out for you. Okay, so when it comes to drawing the title block, you see that gray area there? That is where now, if you just need to draw for the entire semester, just draw the title block once. If you do it properly once, you will use it for all the exercises, okay? So as the dimension is given, so it's 190 by 277 by 190 and by 277.
Now we're using what we have learned, this point in the section.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So we took all the time, a lot of time, in fact, to teach you how to draw lines, okay, straight lines, how to find midpoints. Now, I would expect you in a few weeks' time to be really proficient in drawing your title block, right? It's just straight lines. So using the dimensions is given in the handout, draw the title block. Now you need to paste the title block on the page, isn't it? The title block goes on the page. The page is in white. The gray area is pretty much nothing. Okay, so the way we do this is I will draw a diagonal line from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. Set. Okay, done. Now I'll come here on the page. I have my viewport. I'll do the same thing. I'll draw another diagonal line, sorry, from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. Right? I have two diagonals, one on the title block, one on the page. Then what I'll do is select my title block and move it. Okay, if you want, it's your choice if you want to move or copy it, right? So in my case, let's say I copy it, right? Copy. So because the reason I've used two diagonals is the two diagonals are my reference. So I'll use the midpoint as the pickup point. Okay, so I'm picking up my title block from the midpoint of the diagonal. Okay, so that's my pickup point. Where will be my drop-off point? On the midpoint of the diagonal on the page. That's the reason I've drawn two diagonals. So my pickup point is the midpoint, right? So you are aligning exactly. So you are centering your title block in the middle of your page. So once it matches, drop it there. Okay, it's a copy function, so I can escape. Now, delete, delete. Okay, let's just concern ourselves with this. So that's my viewport. Now the viewing area is only from there to there, right? Whatever is below, that's for your title. Okay, that's not your drawing area. Your drawing shouldn't be there. So you can just snap from there to there. Okay. So now when I am inside the viewport, I can zoom in and out. Okay, now my scale has changed. So I select the appropriate scale, set it, go outside.
Here, just the tricky part, most of the students will face it. It's like a picture frame. You prepare the frame, now preparing your frame. Now you're putting the face on the center, okay, which is your drawing. So viewport gives you the drawing and the title block is your frame. So make sure you can play those dragging points properly so that your picture is on the center, oriented properly. And one more thing, ISO breathe. Have you seen? Might be thinking, what is that ISO breathe? You remember when this page created, There's some hidden lines here, some dotted lines. Okay. Reading comes when the paper actually cut on that line.
Yeah, this one.